Welcome back to the Project Podcast. I'm your host, Connor Lewis, and today I am joined by Cole Terry, young, up-and-coming country artist from Florida. Cole, how are you today, man?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm all right. I've been looking forward to this one. Honestly, I first saw you on TikTok. I'm sure a lot of people that know you have seen you on TikTok from the video of you playing Courtesy the Red, White, and Blue. Honestly, I just want to jump in. I want to ask you about that. What was that like? How did you get there? Just tell me the whole story because honestly, I just need to know everything,
Yeah,
man.
totally. Yeah, so that's actually a funny story because believe it or not, that didn't happen on Inauguration Day.
I didn't think so, honestly.
No, so I actually, that our Congressman Aaron Bean is in our church. My dad's a pastor, and so I got connected with him through my dad had the opportunity to open Congress in a session of prayer back in, I think, February of last year.
Mhm.
And so we were there then, and he had this guitar over on the wall. And my dad actually has a podcast called Maximum Life Code Red, where he interviewed Congressman Bean. Like at the very top of his interview with him, he tells the whole story. But there's a guitar over on the wall that was signed by then Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. Gave it to him as a gift for entertaining some interns, I think. And so I saw it on the wall, and I was like, "You mind if I play something?" And he said, "Go for it." And so I grabbed it, and it was, I think, right after Toby Keith had passed when I played that song. And so it was a good time. Had a bunch of people from our church there. And then later on, I got the opportunity to actually intern in his office there in DC for the whole fall semester during the 24 election. And so that kind of made sense why people would think I was there. But yeah, had a really good time in DC. Great office, great member, and a lot of cool experiences there.
Honestly, I saw that, and then I looked into you. I listened to some of your music. Honestly, like Walmart Superstar really resonates with me. Just a song that I think resonates with a lot of people. But I looked in this guy, and I'm like, I got to get this guy on the pod. Like, I can't miss this opportunity. So I'm so glad you're here. So you mentioned Toby Keith. I'm sure you were not you were very disappointed when he passed. What did Toby Keith mean to you? What did his music mean to you, and how did he inspire you?
Yeah, Toby Keith, he was a great singer, great artist, American patriot. He was one of those guys that he kind of came out of a time in the country music industry where in the 80s they were kind of trying to feminize men or just have a more gender neutral appearance. And so if you look at the early pictures of him and even people like Keith Whitley, they had they didn't look like country singers. And he kind of came out of that and was just this strong presence, very, clearly a conservative type of guy. And for him to come into that space and just let it be known, this is a place where people of, this political ideology are welcome and where we can actually succeed. That meant a lot to me, and he made it clear in his songs, and he took a stand for what he believed in. And whether I am on the same page with him on everything or not, the fact that he was able to do that and do it effectively was that was a special thing.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I didn't know. I mean, you clearly know more about country history than I do, but I grew up listening to country. I'm from the Northeast, so it's obviously like totally different atmosphere. But
yeah, where at? I've looked a little bit into where you're at, but I don't know too much about you.
Well, so where I grew up, we have a station called Cat Country 98.1. I actually just got a job there, which is pretty cool for the summer.
Awesome.
So I'll be doing promotion there. But it was basically the only major country station. So that's where I learned about pretty much every major artist from the 2000s. All the major ones, Toby Keith, Kenny Chesney, you just go down the line, and that's kind of where I figured out about most of these guys. And so to hear, it's weird because when I was growing up, it was more, I grew up in an area where a lot of people listen to rap. So to be able to talk to somebody like you who clearly appreciates the different type of music that country is, I think it's pretty cool. But again, you strike me as somebody who knows their history. So I want to ask you about your inspirations as far as country music goes. I'm sure you have roots that go way back as far as music goes. So talk me through that.
Sure. Yeah. No, a lot of my current inspirations are the old school stuff. I play right now. I'm not headlining shows yet, but
Not yet.
Yeah, playing bar gigs and stuff. Most of my set ends up being country music from like 70s, 80s, some 90s. But most of the stuff that I play is not going to be Morgan Wallen type stuff. He's great, but this doesn't fit my sound. But a lot of my inspirations end up being that old school country type sound, um, which has something of an influence on what I put out. But my personal history in country music, I actually didn't start listening to it until I was about 15. I think there was a girl that I was kind of interested in, and she was into country music, and I thought, well, if I'm,
That's usually how it goes, I think.
it's always a girl. But I thought if I was gonna have any chance with her, I had to start listening to something, and so I picked up Brad Paisley and Florida Georgia Line, all
Mm.
that stuff, and I was just like, okay, I think I could get into this. And I was listening to Red Hot Chili Peppers and Eagles and AC/DC, and I was all that stuff in high school early on. And then I found country, then slowly started getting into the Tyler Childers side and Sturgill
He's
Simpson, and then
good.
started getting into the old school stuff. And then I grew up all around the old school stuff, but I never appreciated it until I really started digging deeper. But my family actually has a history in the industry. My great grandfather was the first one of us to play. My dad's dad's dad, and his name was Floyd Terry. He was a not a musician by trade for most of his life, but he at one point got in some kind of an accident, I think a car accident, and he had broken arm and a leg. And so he was strung
Mm.
up with his left arm like this, and he said, I've always wanted to learn how to play the fiddle. And so somebody brought him a fiddle, and he taught himself how to play sitting there in a hospital
Wow.
bed. And then he taught a few of his kids how to play. He started a family band called Floyd Terry and his Youngins. And it was the four of them, and they went, and he went every Wednesday to audition at the Grand Ole Opry, which, do you know what that is?
No, I don't. Tell me.
Okay, so that's kind of like was the Voice or American Idol of its day,
Okay.
where it was like the biggest country radio station that was broadcasted all over the country, and it was big. And to this day, it's a mainstay in country music, but it's not as big as it once was. But still a cool thing. But he played there and took his family band on there, and then one of his sons, one of the youngest person in that family band, went on to be a fiddle player for Johnny Cash and Merle Haggard and all
Whoa.
these big names, and was like a legend in his own day. Today, his grandson is a guy named Lars Thorson, who is Kane Brown's fiddle player. And then my my grandfather was the youngest of those kids. He had 12. There's 12 kids. He's the youngest of the 12, all from North Alabama, and that's where I grew up most of my life. And then he was a drummer. My dad is a singer and guitar player, songwriter, all that. And then he kind of taught me everything that I know. And so, yeah, it's in the blood a little bit.
That's honestly, that is, I mean, for lack of a better term, that's extremely cool. So does your father do like singing? Because he's a pastor. So does he do that too when he's praising
Yeah,
or what?
yeah. I mean, he doesn't play out. He is a hobbyist right now, but he does write. And so when you're a pastor and you write sermons, write books, he's a
Hmm.
storyteller more than anything. And so having that kind of songwriter bone in his body, he still writes, and I'm sure he'll write till the day he dies. But he actually has written probably, I don't know the exact number, but a good amount of the songs that I've released are songs that he's written. And so the first few that I put out more recently, I don't know if anything on the last EP was something that he wrote, but I've got one called Virginia on the next EP that he wrote.
Are
And
we
so,
supposed to talk about that, or
do what?
are you gonna get in trouble for talking about the EP? I mean, I don't
No,
know if
no, not at all.
I'm just making sure. I don't want to get
For
in no
sure.
trouble here.
No, you're good. I'm not with the big dogs yet.
Not yet, at least. But no, I only ask because I'm surprised if your father doesn't go with you to these bar gigs and he's not on the stage with you, is he?
Not often. He doesn't like the spotlight in this kind
Mm.
of settings. I try to get him up there from time to time, but he always talks me out of it.
Honestly, just to get back to like your inspirations, it's some of the more recent guys have really been like killing it lately. Like Tyler Childers is a guy I've been getting really into lately. Actually, he has a show coming up in this summer near me, like probably 40 minutes away from me. So if you're in the area, let me know, bro. I
For
got
sure.
you.
For
We'll
sure.
go. We'll hang out. That'd be sick. But
You got
you know what I'm saying.
no
But
worries. So you're what state are you in?
Rhode Island. So I'm like
Okay.
right in between all the good stuff, basically.
Sure.
So
No,
just
I got a buddy in Delaware, so I know what that's like. We're just kind of just nestled between all the places you want to be.
listen. I
But
hate to tell you, but Delaware is like 6 hours for me, brother.
oh,
Like
never mind.
it's.
It's in the Northeast somewhere. Somewhere. I don't go get up that way very often. But no,
I don't
are
blame you.
You play basketball and you're about to go into college, right?
I'm in college right now. I just
Okay,
finished
you're in
up.
college.
But yeah, I
Okay,
play basketball, volleyball. But
okay, sweet,
I'm thinking about getting into music a little bit. I
sweet.
went to like a blues concert in Massachusetts in February, and I talked to like the head singer, this guy Eddie, and he's like, "Are you don't play guitar?" And I'm like, "No." He said I strike him as someone who plays guitar, and I'm like, I've never ever thought about it because like I don't know, I never had like a artistic bone in my body. Honestly, I don't know. I was just always
Sure.
kind of like the tall, lanky kid.
Same,
I'm
same.
like 6'7", so it's like okay. Uh,
Yeah,
my parents taught me from a young age you're not gonna be doing anything but playing basketball, and so I'm like okay,
yeah.
I guess that's what I'm gonna have to do. So,
I
but
was
you
the
know,
other way
I
around. I was the other way around. I ran track and cross country my freshman and sophomore years of high school, and then my parents were trying to talk me out from the day that I started. Like they said, "You're not fast. You need to quit. It's not for your wasting time." And then finally, I think I lost to three kids from the Florida School for the Deaf and Blind on a round track, and then I realized this is not my calling. And so I decided I was going to put more stock into the artistic side. And so yeah, no, athletics has never been my strong suit.
honestly I think that was a good move by you. Honestly, I
Yeah,
don't know if
yeah.
God has to do at that point. If he has to like hit you with a lightning bolt or something, like I don't know
Yeah,
how else he
break a
can tell
leg.
you to quit.
There's not much more you can say short of striking you down.
So is music like the only thing you're into these days, or like are you going into acting soon, or are you just trying to stay away from that stuff?
I did theater for a year when I was a junior in high school, and I loved it. But I did musical theater, and I had a great time. But that's not a primary focus of mine. But I love to if the door ever opens, or if there's ever like a clear opportunity to kind of step into that world, I'd love to. But right now, just I've got one semester left. I'm here for the summer in Gainesville, and then I'll wrap up. Um, Super into politics, constantly
Mm.
following all that, trying to figure out how to stay out of it enough to where it doesn't hurt my chances in the entertainment world. But no, I always follow that. I've been trying to do jujitsu lately. I've been that, but then I figured out I'm not going to be able to afford a membership to a jujitsu gym and like an actual gym when I go to Nashville. And so I've been trying to figure out what to do, thinking about CrossFit and just trying to find something to get to where I look like a country singer, look like Riley Green or something, because I don't yet.
Dude,
But
I heard breakdancing is like good for you. Like you try
for real,
that. Yeah, I
hey,
heard that like makes you strong because you gotta like kind of balance your body out, but you still gotta like remain strong. It's like I think that's
no, I've never heard of a country singer breakdancing. So you might be on something there.
you might be the first one. That'd be good
That
for
could
you,
be my
man.
niche. Yeah,
That's I think that might be the definition of a niche, honestly.
exactly.
Country singer
Yeah,
that breakdances.
exactly.
I want to talk to you about religion a little bit because we
Sure.
have that in common. We're both religious people. I'm Catholic. I don't know about you. I know you believe in God. I don't know where you stand in that because I know they're kind of different. They're kind of similar, whatever. But what type of impact has religion had on you, had on your music, and all that?
Yeah, no, my faith has definitely had a really significant impact on it. Um, from stuff as practical as the way that I approach the possibility of moving to a new city and what that actually means for me and how I feel about it, what my plans are, to the way that I write songs. Like
Mm.
it permeates everything, at least it should. And, every day is just trying to conform my plans to God's plans as much as I can and conform the way I'm doing life to the way that He says I should be doing life. And that's not easy, but it gets a lot easier the more you do it. Life gets easier the more you trust Him with it. And so, no, stuff as simple as like getting ready to move to a new city where you don't know very many people, you don't have there's not a clear roadmap to success in this industry. It's kind of everyone finds their own way and hopes for
Right.
the best. Um, and when you don't have any kind of faith or any kind of uh, reason to believe that you should be there in the first place, or reason to believe that you should stick it out, when you don't have that, I don't know how people stick it out as long as they do. Besides just accepting that it's a gamble and hoping for the best, and then most of them fail. But when you believe that God has put you where you are for a reason, and that this isn't just my plan. This is where I think He wants me to be, what He wants me to be doing.
Mm.
Then he who started a good work in you will be faithful to see it to fruition. And that's what he says, and that's what I believe. And so if he wants me there, that's where I want to be. And if he doesn't want me there, I don't want to be there either. It's better than I'm not. And so when you have that kind of a perspective on it, then it takes a big load off of you where I'm not even there yet, but I'm already, tempted towards the nerves of just like, what if it doesn't work out? What if something happens? What if I have to move home? And it can be scary. But when you have that kind of a perspective and that kind of just hope and understanding that if he wants you there, he'll take care of you. You don't have to worry about it. It takes a big load off of you. And then even stuff like the way that I write my songs, um, it's had an impact on the direction that my writing has taken. And so certain stuff, Walmart Superstar, it's just a song about a guy that I went on a date with a girl this, 3 years ago now, I think. Went on a date or two with her, and then she ended up saying, I don't have time for a relationship, whatever. And then like a month later, she's with her new boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? And then it's all something like that always happens. But then the guy that was like, had the goatee and the mullet, and I was like, okay, he just looks
the
like
cheap goatee. I think you say cheap goatee specifically.
Yeah, exactly. So he just looked like a knockoff version of Morgan Wallen. So I was like, okay, low hanging fruit. I couldn't get the song out for like a year, and then finally did, and then rest is history. But I went from writing those types of songs where it's just like cheap storytelling, fun, it's interesting, it's entertaining, to this next EP I'm working on. It's all songs that are, I hope, will either make you cry or give you chills. And so it's actually
like
stories that'll move you, and it's more story songs than just, this girl's pretty and I like her. It's not so much that kind of what's the word? It's like not like the bubblegum pop rock of country.
Okay, yeah.
Like there's actually some substance to it. And so in those stories and those perspectives, you'll kind of hear them in the songs, are driven by a very different worldview than even some of the country music out there. And so there's one in particular called Time that I wrote, that I just finished a few weeks ago before I went and recorded it. But there's a guy named Jason Isbell. If you've never heard of him, he's a great singer, great writer, kind of a legendary writer out of Muscle Shoals, Alabama, where I was born. And he has this song that is like anyone in the country industry knows it, called If We Were Vampires. That the whole gist of the song is basically, if we were vampires, if we lived forever, it would be silly to try to love you. The line is, if we were vampires and death was a joke, we'd go out on the sidewalk and smoke and laugh at all the lovers and their plans. I wouldn't feel the need to hold your hand. So basically, death is what gives life its meaning, is his perspective. But I believe that we've got eternity, and that's what gives life its meaning. That the reason we're here now is for that. And that just is a totally different worldview. And so this song, Time, takes just a story of a couple meeting in high school, from there to their deathbed, and realizing, hey, even though, some people will be looking at a couple on their deathbed and say, at least it was fun while it lasted. It was valuable because it ends. Don't, what's the saying? Don't cry because it's ending, smile because it happened, something like that.
Oh, yeah, something like that.
Not that. It's, no, it doesn't end here. We've got forever. And, then you get into the theology of marriage and heaven, and it's like, that's a whole other issue that I don't want to tackle in the song. But anyway.
That's going to be like a 10-minute song, bro. You gotta space that out a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
I'd have to get C.S. Lewis's help on that one. That would take a while.
I think it comes with I know you're not that old, but it comes with getting older, where you kind of want to get away from the way you put it, like pop type of music.
Yeah.
We kind of live in a time where so many of the pop songs, I'm not going to name drop just in case someone wants to get on the show one day, but a lot of the people sound pretty similar. I'm sure you can agree with that. I'm sure you turn on the radio and you listen to the top 50 hits of today. Half the songs sound like they could be from the same person.
Sure.
And so I think it's cool that you're kind of getting away from that, and you're getting more into your songwriting, your Bob Dylan kind of roots, your Johnny Cash type of roots, where it's I'm really going to buckle down and write something that means something to me and it means something to other people instead of just like a catchy song. Like anyone can write a catchy song. I think I could. Like I don't know nothing about music, but I think like if you give me like 3 years, probably I could probably figure it out.
Yeah, I mean,
But
yeah, everyone knows what sounds good to some degree. Some people don't, but most people can figure out if it sounds good or not. And if anyone can
oh
figure out how to make something catchy.
man, with AI, it's like I don't like it,
Exactly.
but it's like I could
Yeah.
do it. Like I
No.
hate to say it, but I think it's cool that you're getting away from that, and I'm excited to hear this next EP. Honestly, I think one of your songs, "Wouldn't Change a Thing," is that the name of it?
Yeah.
That's something that like I listened to that song and like, dude, like I was at the gym almost on the verge of tears, bro. I was like, damn, like this kid's like he's killing me right now. I've never felt it like it's like oh my god, all right.
Dude,
I gotta like pause
you
the
ever,
song, put on Katy Perry. I'm like I cannot do this here. I'm sorry. I
no,
want to give you your full listen, but I just can't right now.
dude,
But
that's what happens when you date a girl from the rival university. Don't do it.
oh,
You'll end up with that.
dude, I'm fine. Listen. I go to like a small college. We don't have a rival. We just get like
Yep.
in sports. We just get the shit kicked out of us by every other school in
Yep.
sports. So it's fine. Like I'm not really worried about that.
Fair.
But
Fair.
like I've listen. To be honest, like to get like frank here, like I've dealt with that situation. What happened in that song? So that's why it
Yep.
hits so hard for me. It's like, all right, this guy like I've never felt a song that like I related to so much. It's weird. Maybe it's because like we're so similar in age and it's like a generation thing, but it just kind of feels like relatable. And like I think that's one of the strongest parts of like your music. And I've listened to like a good amount of it like in preparation for this just to get a feel for
Yeah.
you. But I think like I'm excited for the next EP because I didn't know anything about it until like you told me about it, obviously. So like I'm excited to hear this, and it's called Time. That song you mentioned.
The song is, yeah. I haven't. I'm between a few different titles for the EP itself, but we'll see where I land. But yeah, one of the
Okay.
songs.
Hey, if you need a feature though on that song, you know who
For
to
sure.
call. I got you. I got you with some
Sure.
backup vocals.
You got it.
Um, but listen, is there a song? I know this is like maybe like picking your favorite kid, but is there like any
Hmm.
song of yours that you think resonates with you more than the rest? And you cannot pick anything off the new EP.
No, it can't be off the new EP. Anything
Mm-mm.
that's out now, man, that you're right. That is a tough question. Um,
I'm putting you on the spot, kind of, but
yeah, I think I would have to probably land on. Oh man, that's hard. Probably California Wildfire. Um, that's probably it. There's a little story behind really that whole EP, but
you're free to tell it if you want. I don't know, if it's too
yeah,
deep, that's cool, but
no,
you have the floor, bro.
I appreciate it. No, so there was you have a lot of people getting into long distance relationships where you're at.
Oh yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
that's like a new thing. It seems like a
Yeah.
lot more common than it used to be. But I fell for that a lot worse than most people. So I'm on the east coast of Florida. My home
Hmm.
is a place called Amelia Island that's up against the coast of Georgia. So I'm as far east as you can get. And I fell for a girl on the west coast of California. And
Whew.
that can cause some problems. And so
Did you
that
know like she already lived there or like was she
yeah,
going to college there? Oh.
no, she was another songwriter. And
Oh,
so
okay.
we
I
met
got you.
like on Instagram, had never
Mm.
like we didn't meet from when we started talking for like months. I think we met in March of last year and then things went until like September. And so it was anyway, that whole thing uh ended up dating her for a little while and then it fell apart as you would probably imagine that fell
Yeah.
apart. But yeah, so then that whole EP came out of that. But California Wildfire, I was gonna release that when I wrote that when we were dating, and then I was gonna release that sometime in the fall or maybe like no, it was in the winter. But it turned out that was right when the wildfires in LA were happening, and so we had to like
Okay.
we were freaking
Uh
out.
yeah.
Got to reorganize everything. But
Rough.
but no, I love that song. Just the music of it is great. Very Luke Combsy. So
Mm.
I love that sound, and nothing off the new EP sounds anything like that. And so I'm glad I've got something in there now, but kind of moving a different direction. But no, one of my favorite song is probably going to be one of these off the new EP, either Time or that other one. But if those are off the table, then California Wildfire.
Honestly, I don't even know what I'd pick personally. Like from yours, like I know maybe it's a little different because I didn't
Yeah,
write the songs, but that'd be tough. I don't know how I could do that. It's like picking a favorite podcast guest. I don't know if I could do that, but
sure,
you're
sure.
winning me over right now. So we'll see how this goes. But you're so far you're doing all right. But
Good. I'm glad.
like, what is that like trying to build like a fan base in music? Because like I've been trying to build a name for myself in the sports world, which is obviously super different from music. I get that, but like within like podcasting and working with people in different universities, but music, it's like how do you do that? Like how do you like
No.
approach like a bar and be like I this is my music, this is who I am. Like how does that even go? Like honestly, I have no
Yeah.
clue.
Well, it's kind of like it's this is a weird comparison to make, but it's a little bit like politics. So
Mhm.
I'm a political science major at
Right.
UF, and so I know way too much about all that. But the way that they talk about it is like a member of the House or the Senate. They've got constituents that they've got their constituents from their state, and those are the people that actually elect them to office. And then they've got their constituents within Congress itself. And so they've got to, and if they want to get anything done, they've got to have the favor of the people back home, which is kind of like the listener for me. I've got to have the
Okay.
listeners on my side, and then you've also got to get favor from the people in the body that you're working in, which is like Nashville. And so I haven't really set foot in Nashville much yet. I've been making trips. I'm getting ready to move there this fall. But as far as the listener side and just getting, building a fan base there, is all TikTok. It's entirely TikTok right now.
Yeah.
Why the ban was such a kind of shook everything up and could have been really bad, could have been really good, but also could have been really bad.
Depends how you
I,
look at
I,
that.
I've been trying to figure out what's been going on with that. I've not heard any. It was the 90-day thing ran out like a month ago, so I don't know
Was it
what's.
even 90 days? I feel like it wasn't even. I feel like
Yeah,
that
well,
was
it was
like
supposed to be.
it felt
It's
like
supposed
30
to be.
seconds. Like I
Yeah,
don't
it was nothing. So I don't know. They undid that, and I don't know what's going on. But no, the whole thing is just TikTok. And so it's a
right.
lot, probably a lot like podcasting, where you're just trying to get those clips and those, short little pieces, and you're just trying to find something that catches fire, gets people's attention. And the one time I've done that well was the thing in DC.
Yeah.
but but yeah, there's that, and then once you actually get into the industry, it's a lot of not like shady backroom deals, but it's a lot of what actually happens in doesn't happen on a stage. It happens in a boardroom. And so I usually am not going to get in those rooms, but you can kind of influence the people that are, or just curry favor with them. And at least that's my understanding of it. You just get to know people, um, show that that you can create value in the market, create something that
Mhm.
people want, create a product that people want. And if you can create value, then people will pay you for it. It's just a matter of creating the valuable product yourself. Um, and so it's all way too commercialized with TikTok, where it's got to
It
be
is.
the story songs. I have no idea if they're even gonna. If they, I don't know if you can make clips that will do them justice on TikTok. So it's a hard machine to figure out, but that's the way it is right now. So trying to navigate it. It's a weird world to figure out
Well, it
right now.
kind of sucks for like people like you and like to be blunt, it sucks. Like
Yeah.
for people like
Oh
you
yeah.
and me, where we just want to do our thing. You want to make music. I want to do interviews like this,
Yeah.
and now you got to work through TikTok in order to like make a name for yourself. It's like what is this? Like I don't
Yeah.
because like I'm sure like when you were a kid, like obviously TikTok didn't exist when either of us were like young. So it's
Sure.
like so if we want to be famous, there's other ways to do it. But now literally the only way basically these days, is if you know somebody, which
Sure.
I don't. I don't know about you.
But
I really
even
don't.
if they're not going to vouch for you, if they don't know if you can, it's kind of like if you are starting a business, you got to have a proof of concept and
Yeah.
like this is actually something people will pay for. You've got to show that there's a market for it. It's the same concept. Um, the A lot of people underestimate the business side of the music business,
Yeah,
and
I,
so
I just learned
sure,
to right
sure.
now,
No,
honestly.
it is a very cutthroat business, and it is very hard to make it in that. And so that's why I try not to, I try not to take for granted that I'm will or won't make it. I don't have any idea if I will. I think I will because I think that's where God wants me. And if He wants me there, He's going to make it happen. But there's no guarantees ever, and so it's a very tough business. But it's always been there's always been some way of making it, whether it was getting on radio, getting on local stations, getting on a certain stage, getting in front of a particular person or group of people. There's always been some way to do it that works better than others. And TikTok's just the newest thing, and it's what's working right now. And so it's it it, it always comes with a little bit of, you know, you have to be commercial, if that makes sense. You have to be able
Yeah.
to appeal to the masses. Um, and so if you have like a Zach Bryan, he's, you know, he knows how to, him and Morgan Wallen, both totally different kinds of music, but they
Right.
know how to appeal to the masses. Um, and you're never going to have a song that's going to make you, you know, break down in tears because, like, oh my goodness, that was amazing. But you've got songs that everyone's going to listen to in the car. And so it's that kind of thing where you've always got to have some level of commercial appeal. Um, and TikTok kind of uh, overdrives that a little bit, where you're going to have super commercialized country music that it's not. You kind of lose some of the art of it, some of the life and the what is so special about it, what can be so special about it. Um, but it's just towing that line and learning how to navigate that and be true to who you are as an artist and be a good businessman at the same time.
It's just it's still weird. Like I understand, like you explained it, I think perfectly. Like you're very well spoken, and when it came to that, like I understand it completely. But at the same time, it's like there is like very little art to it anymore. It's just
Yeah.
like whatever sounds good to people. And you make a great point. Like it doesn't matter. Like Zach Bryan and Morgan Wallen are both phenomenal artists. I'm not arguing that, but they're not going to make a song that's going to make you break down, like you
Yeah.
said. And it's just like I don't know how to feel about it. I understand it's a business and it's always been a business. I get that part, but like it makes me feel kind of weird inside. Like I'm not even in the industry. Like I don't know how you feel. I don't like. Do you kind of hope TikTok goes away, or like I know it's been good to you like so far, like it's helped you a lot, but do you kind of hope that we move towards something different?
I don't know. I don't know if there's that saying, stick to the devil you know. And
Yeah.
so I think there's always going to be a little bit of an advantage to just learning how to function as best you can within the current system instead of just hoping that it gets overturned and you find something else. Um, I'm sure there's a better alternative. I'm sure there's a better way. There's a lot of controversy about the way that Spotify and the streaming services work because you'll get paid anywhere between, I think it's 0.003 and 0.005 pennies for every stream
Yes.
you get. And so like it takes an eternity to make any money on there. I don't think I've made $1,000. I don't think I've made $100. It's like I've made nothing.
Yeah.
And I haven't gotten a ton of streams, but what few streams I have gotten, it's not been much. And
Right.
so um, there's like you always hope for better, and you kind of seek the best for yourself and the best for your industry and the people that you're working with and your tribe. But at the same time, you know, it's not in my power to change it. And
Yeah.
so best that we can do is just figure out how to work effectively in the system that we're in.
I feel that. Honestly, I knew a girl who does music too. She's from like Massachusetts or something.
Mm-hmm.
And she complains about the same thing. It's actually funny. You mentioned that story earlier about like you were like talking to this girl and then she doesn't want a relationship in the next month. She's in one. Dude, that happened to me, but like in the same week.
Mm.
Like it was like and but here's the thing. You know, I'm gonna tell the story. I don't care.
Yeah,
Maybe I shouldn't, but I'm gonna tell it anyway.
go for it.
So we hung out like this is like a year and a half ago probably. It was like January, like New Year. It was like a Sunday. We hang out, we're just at her house. I meet her parents. They're nice people, all that. And then she does not text me back for like forever, like basically forever. And then that Friday or Saturday, she pops out with a new guy. And like I was just at your house. I just met your parents. Like, what do you like? I don't understand. And like she's a nice girl. Like I talked to her after, and like they're still together, so that's good for her, honestly. But I was just like, whoa,
Yeah.
wait a minute. But like she's the same way. Like she's a musician. She does like more like Taylor Swift type of thing. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, however you feel about that. I mean, I don't know. But so
Got
she,
some good and some bad, like everything.
yeah, there is bad to it. But anyway, Taylor, if you're listening, we still want you on. Okay, you're welcome anytime. You and Travis. Actually not Travis. I don't like him very much. But No, yeah. So she barely makes any money, and she's been grinding out for like 2 years, and like she's
Yeah,
going to honestly, she might be going to Florida. Honestly, now that I think about it, she might be going to the same school as you. So,
there you go.
uh, and again, it's good for her, but it's like I don't understand how Spotify works. Like you said, it's like 0.0003 pennies per like
Yeah,
stream. I'm like how does it even work? It's like I don't. I will never understand how that goes. And like I'm someone who cranks out Spotify listens. I'm listening like to podcasts on their audiobooks, whatever, all day. So it's like, so what am I like? What am I paying for? For these guys to not get paid for anything? It's like I don't know how that really goes. But
sure.
I want to talk to you about the future a little bit. I know it's scary. I know we talked about how scary it can be. As an artist, you want to move to Nashville. I get that. If you do get famous, and I think you will, because I think you've got a certain I don't know much about music, but I think you got something to you. Is there like a dream collaboration you have that you're like, this is the guy or girl, I guess, but this is the guy that I want to collaborate with. This would be the dream for me.
Hmm, that's a great question.
They have to be alive. You cannot pick Toby Keith. I'm sorry, he's
Yeah,
dead.
yeah. No, I think probably the one guy that I love his music so much. I love his writing, love his voice. Um, Everything that he does is just awesome. But I could never do anything like what he does. Is Chris
Mm-hmm.
Stapleton. Um,
Oh,
I've been a fan of him for a long time, and his stuff between. Have you heard of the Steel Drivers?
yes.
Okay, so that is some of my favorite stuff that he's done is with them, and I've actually gotten to be friends with one of them today.
Oh, no
The
kidding.
Miss Tammy King, who is the fiddle player and the singer in the band.
Mm-hmm.
She really nice lady. Her and her husband have moved to the island, got a house there, but they are the sweetest people. But his music with them, his music solo, like all around is just incredible. And so I've been a fan of him for a long time, and who knows if I'll ever have the honor to meet him. But he just seems like a down to earth guy too, cool guy to hang out with, kind of like Post Malone, where it's just like you just see him and you're like, you know, his music's great, but he just seems like a fun guy too. He just seems like you can hang with him, and he's just cool.
He's Thing about Post Malone. He's always on like side quests. I
Yeah, just doing stuff.
people.
Hey,
He's on Impractical Jokers now, and I'm like, I love that. Like they got rid of Joe, and like now he's just on sometimes. It's just like what? Like what is he doing? It's like I don't even know. But
yeah,
he's listen. He is an interesting guy. That's what I will say about
yeah.
Post Malone. He's actually going to like Gillette Stadium, which is like in Massachusetts. So I'm like I might go to that. I'm like oh, okay, but yeah, he's an interesting guy. Stapleton, though, here's the hard thing with like celebrities. You don't really know who's down to earth, but Stapleton seems like a guy you could like have a beer with. Like he seems
Yeah,
like a normal guy
yeah.
where it's like you can meet that guy at a bar and he wouldn't act like uppity around you or nothing like that. So
And he seems like the one or two times that I've ever heard him on like a podcast interview. He went on Rogan years ago,
yeah,
and you can tell he does not like being in the spotlight. If he doesn't like talking, doesn't like to be like make a lot of himself, and that's always a good sign when you're talking to somebody who's made it. And and I think he's also just probably an introvert and doesn't like to get out and be big and boisterous like Post Malone. Um, nothing wrong about that, but
no,
he's
no,
just
not
not
at
that
all.
guy, and he's the kind of like you. He was at the CMAs, I think it was a couple years ago, some kind of country award show, and he just like stuck around afterwards and helped clean up. He was
Wow.
had a and so just you see that kind of stuff, and you're like, okay, yeah, I can respect more than just the musicianship, incredible musicianship, but he just seems
Yeah,
like a
of
cool,
course.
and so yeah, would love that. We'll see if it ever happens.
That I didn't know that story about Stapleton. Though that's cool. To me,
Yeah,
it's like I feel like I don't know if this is true for every single person, but it's feel like whenever you're on Rogan, it's like you're probably like a normal down to earth person. Not I'm not saying all the time because I know he's had some
yeah,
like controversial people on there, but
sure.
it feels like 90. I'll say 90% of the time, it feels like if you're on Rogan, it's like you're probably like a normal guy because like I that's a podcast I listen to
Yeah,
often. Probably not my most listened to, but definitely a guy who inspired me
yeah.
into
No,
podcasting. But
he's a great interviewer as far as just it not being an interview and it being a conversation where he's good at calming people down, making them feel comfortable and relaxed, and just like you said, they're just two guys talking, and I'm sure that's how it feels when you're in that room, even though you're on effectively the world's biggest stage.
Yeah.
of our day. But he does a great job of just setting the tone, making people comfortable.
And like the way that you strive to be like guys like Stapleton, guys like all those country legends.
Yeah,
That's why I strive to be with Rogan. It's like
sure.
that's why like I'm trying to work on my skill to just have a conversation and not make it feel forced. He did a really good episode with like Adam Sandler. And it just felt like
Yeah,
you were like third partying. It felt like you like they were just talking and having a good time and you're like kind of sitting there and you're like not part of
yeah.
the fun, but I think that's what he's so good at. But I
All right.
don't mean to get on a tangent about Rogan, but um, I just I think his stuff's really really incredible. I I want to ask you this. Talk me through like a typical schedule for you because I know you were in college. I know like that there you obviously interned last the fall semester, so you have a busy schedule. How do you balance that work life with your music?
Yeah. Um, the short answer is I'm a political science student, and that means my classes are not that hard. And so, and I also, I am. I don't know how I got into UF. UF is a good school, great
Good
school.
school.
Not that I'm a great student. The whole thing is I'm not a great student, so I don't know how I got here. But I'm surrounded by people that everyone here is trying to go to grad school. Everyone here is trying to get like I stopped caring about how good my grades were in high school when I got into UF. I was like, that's as far as I want to go. I could care less about law school. I have no aspirations of getting a formal education past this. I didn't want to get this
Mm.
formal education. My parents wanted me to. And so, um, as far as that kind of stuff, I'm like, I just do what I need to like I pay attention in class, and usually that's enough to get a good grade on the test for me. And so I'm not the kind of guy that's sitting in the library 5 days a week trying to grind out homework. For one thing, I just don't have the homework to do. Political science, it's not, and then also it's I just couldn't care that much to be studying a ton, and I usually don't have to. And so there's that, and then um, most of my work is on the weekends anyway, and so all of the gigs that I play are on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes you'll get something during the week, but just do my school. I go home every weekend. I drive 2 hours to Jacksonville, Florida. I'm in the middle of Florida, UF, in Gainesville. I'll drive 2 hours to the Jacksonville area, stay at home with my parents Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, drive back for class on Monday morning, and then just do that every week. And somehow it works. I just kind of roll with the punches, see what happens.
Dude, I think you're better than me because like I'm not even a business major. I'm a sports management major. Like that is the like when we're talking about like homework, like I'm like you can't even see where I'm at
Yeah.
on the screen. Like you cannot see that. There's no homework in that. So it's like it was almost like I did this because I had so much time to kill. So like I kind of get what you mean. Like I just like had so much time to kill. But it's interesting that you decided to go to UF, study political science, and then you just don't want to go any further. I understand that music
Sure.
is absolutely important to you. I get that. But was there some other driving force behind that, or was it like you don't think you can get farther than this, or it's like you don't
Oh, you
want to
mean
at
like
all?
why am I a poli sci major if I'm not going to
Yeah,
use it? Yeah,
yeah,
no,
essentially.
I there's a whole long, complicated story that I won't get into about why I ended up in political science. But basically, I was kind of at a crossroads at one point a couple years ago. Um, got a bad grade on a statistics class and had to
Okay.
switch out of business administration. And so I was trying to decide what I was going to do. It was like either switch it to a different college or take two high level math courses at the community college over my off semester and get an A in both. And then I could stay. I was like, I don't care enough about it. I'm just going to switch. And so I was between doing music full time, thought about politics, thought about doing media. I did videography for a little while, so I thought about that. Thought about ministry, following after my dad, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. And so at that point, God kind of spoke to me in a unique way that I won't get into, but He spoke to me in a unique way and said, politics is probably the way to go right now as far as education, at least. And so I don't know if He's ever going to use it, but at least I'm prepared. And He's opened some cool doors, like that internship working in DC.
Yeah.
I got to be there during the election, which was the craziest time I could possibly imagine to be there. I don't think there's any 4 month period that would have been cooler to be in DC in the
I
last
bet.
century. But it was awesome. It was awesome. And yeah, I don't, maybe God will use it, maybe he won't. But I think he's put me where I'm at for a reason, and I'm excited to see where it takes me, even if it's not in the next 5 years.
Honestly, that's pretty insightful because, like, sometimes I feel like people just go into college and they just pick, like, I hate to say it, but a random major
Yeah,
almost. Like, it's
yeah.
like, because I honestly, I did a little bit of homework on you. I read up on you a little bit. I found your LinkedIn, which is
Oh,
maybe I went a little too far. So I was like, oh, maybe I
no,
should
you're
back
good.
out. But I saw a political science major. I'm like,
Mhm.
I mean, I was like, it makes sense because he was, working in DC. I get that part,
Sure.
but like, why? So that's why I
Yeah,
just thought of that. But I think it's cool that God opened that door for you because you got to have that once in a lifetime experience. Like, who knows if you're really ever going to do that again?
yeah,
And I know you weren't there on inauguration, but like to be there in that time, like that time period, like I would. There's a lot I would trade to be able to be there personally. So I kind of get where your head's at. But listen, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I appreciate you being here. So I'll ask you one last question. I
sure.
know we kind of talked about your EP a little bit, but what is next for Cole Terry? Talk me through that, man.
Yeah, so I'm back in September of last year. I signed a distribution deal with a label out of New York City, and so they gave me some money to produce some songs, and this next EP will be the completion of that deal. At least that'll be the as many songs as I am supposed to put out. And so once those songs are what's next, first and foremost, I don't expect them to be coming out until closer to the fall, maybe a little bit into the fall. But but yeah, pushing those, seeing what happens with them, trying to get some traction with it. Moving to Nashville, writing a ton, trying to make connections with writers there, and just figure out how to put food on the table, not have to move back home. I've always Everyone kind of tells me the key is to stay just poor enough because you want to stay poor enough to where you don't have to uh, where you don't have like security in a full-time job because that'll distract you and you'll get focused on maintaining that security instead of pursuing the dream.
Right.
You want to keep enough money so that you don't have to move home and quit the dream. So it's like a odd kind of poverty middle line you want to find.
Middle ground. Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. And so,
So what is that, like a part-time job at like McDonald's or?
yeah, a little bit of what I do. I'm hopefully not McDonald's. I hope I don't have to do that. No shade on
Well, they pay
McDonald's.
pretty well these days. I don't know.
I've heard that's actually good. I might have to rethink that. That's a great point. You might could get $25 an hour at McDonald's in a city like that, but
Manager? Not bad.
you never know. You never know. But no, I actually do some production work for. I mentioned my dad has a podcast.
You're right.
Um, I've been doing editing for that, and it actually goes on the radio across Florida and
Oh,
regionally across the southeast. And so I edit those for radio and edit some of the video podcasts and stuff. And so that I've been doing that consistently for a while, and I get paid to do that. And so that should help some if I can maintain it with that distance there. But that part-time job, bartending is kind of the everyone's go-to. And so if I can, I've spent probably less time than anyone in a bar, and so I don't know if I can figure it out. But even considering that I play music, I don't know how bars work. But if I can figure out how to mix a drink, then maybe I could go be a bartender. But it's that being a waiter, being you know, I've got friends, a lot of girls that I know they're in town will nanny or house keep, clean up, and whatever.
right.
And so whatever kind of part time work you can find, just odd jobs seems to be the norm there. But we'll see. I'm all over my LinkedIn right now, all over Indeed, trying to find jobs and just seeing what bites. But we'll see.
Well, I listen. I feel you on the LinkedIn thing. It's like impossible to find like even like a part-time job these days. Bartender's on my short list of stuff I want to do. I watched this movie. I don't know if you're big into movies, but I watched this movie
Yeah,
called Cocktail. It has Tom Cruise in it. It's from the '80s. Not very good,
yeah.
but he's just a super charismatic. I mean, it's Tom Cruise, but he's a charismatic bartender,
I was
and
named
it's
after a
just
Tom
like,
Cruise character actually.
oh yes,
Yeah, you ever seen Days of Thunder?
yeah, of course.
Yeah, Cole Trickle. That's what gave my dad the idea.
Oh my God. How did I connect it?
Yeah.
That's,
No,
that
he
is a great,
my dad said Cole Terry sounded like I could either be a NASCAR driver or a country music singer. So I'm making one of them work.
you do, that's a good backup, honestly. I
Yeah.
like that. I like that as a backup for you. But, the cocktail, you should check that out, actually.
Yeah.
He's just like a bartender who has a dream of opening a big bar, and because he's like a terrible student, very similar to me and you,
Yeah.
so we can both relate to that a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's a fun movie. It's not very good, but it's a good time. But it just reminds me of that, and that's why I want to start bartending. But also,
Hey,
I'm not even 19 yet, so it's
true.
a little hard to get a job in a bar these days
Yeah.
when you're not 21. But
I've heard barbacks get paid well because you don't have to serve the drinks, but you get good money. And so I
that's
think
on the table.
keep the bar stocked and all that. That could be a good idea.
Not the most fun job.
Sure. Sure.
I guess it's a job. But Cole, listen, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time and sitting down with me today. And for all the listeners, all the watchers at home, thank you for watching. And I have been your host, Connor Lewis, signing off.